They called him dangerous. They called him unstable. Some even whispered the word traitor behind closed doors, not because he betrayed America on the battlefield, but because after the war he dared to say what no one else had the courage to say. When the guns finally fell silent in 1945, the world wanted relief. People wanted to believe that the nightmare was over. They wanted victory to mean something clean and righteous. They wanted the enemy to remain simple and evil, and the winners to remain heroic. But George S. Patton refused to play the role written for him. Welcome to the Secret Chapter YT, where we uncover the hidden truths of history. Patton walked through a continent that no longer looked like a continent. Europe had become a graveyard of nations. Berlin was a skeleton of stone and ash, but Hamburg lay in pieces. Dresden was erased from the map. Entire cities had become unmarked burial grounds. Millions were dead. Millions more wandered through silent streets with nothing but hunger and memory. This was called victory. Yet to Patton, it looked more like the aftermath of a great mistake. Stationed in Bavaria during the American occupation, he expected resistance. He expected violence. He expected hatred. What he found instead were families starving in the rubble of lost homes, children searching ruins for scraps, and a population so broken it barely had the strength left to hate anyone. Germany had not only lost a war, it had lost itself. What concerned him even more than Germany's destruction was who was moving into the empty space left behind. The Soviet Union was not retreating. It was advancing one country at a time, one government at a time, one border at a time. While the West celebrated victory, the East was quietly building an empire. Patton watched elections vanish, opposition disappear, prisons fill, dictatorship replaced occupation, flags changed, but freedom did not arrive. In October 1945, Patton spoke the words that would forever define him. We fought the wrong enemy. Germany should have been our ally. The real enemy is the Soviet Union. He did not whisper it. He did not hesitate. He repeated it again and again in letters, conversations, and private journals, knowing every word could end his career. He was not confused. He was certain. He believed the Allies had made the most dangerous mistake in modern history by destroying Germany completely. They had removed the only force capable of limiting Soviet expansion in Europe. Germany, in his eyes, had not been merely an enemy nation. It had been a barrier. With that barrier gone, Stalin now had a clear path across half a continent. The more Patton watched the occupation unfold, the more convinced he became that the war had ended in the wrong direction. He wrote bitterly about it in his diary. The real war has not ended. It has only changed its uniform. We have handed Europe to a new master. Nothing angered him more than the policy of denazification. On paper, it claimed moral righteousness. In practice, it dismantled an entire nation's ability to function. Teachers were removed. Doctors were banned. Engineers were erased from public life. Administrators were fired for having once belonged to the wrong party. 8 million Germans had been members of the Nazi Party, many under pressure, many only on paper. Removing all of them meant destroying the brain of the country. Patton called it madness. He warned that no society could survive by firing its own intelligence. He compared it to removing every American who had ever voted. The result was inevitable paralysis. Nothing worked. No one could rebuild. The Allies hunted party records while Soviet agents filled positions of influence. Communist ideology seeped into schools, newspapers, and councils. Patton saw it clearly. While we destroy Germany, Russia quietly replaces it. By late 1945, he had crossed a line no American general was meant to cross. He was no longer just criticizing policy. He was questioning the war itself. He spoke in private like a man watching a house burn. While others admired the decorations, he believed a Third World War was coming and that the fuse had already been lit when Washington ordered the mass removal of German officials. Patton refused. He insisted the Germans themselves were the only ones who could rebuild Germany. A nation cannot be run by amateurs. He said he kept engineers, administrators, and former officers in place, not out of sympathy, but out of necessity. Stability mattered more than revenge. The press turned against him. Politicians demanded his removal. Some accused him of admiration for the enemy. Others wanted him court-martialed. He knew the truth. "I am being punished for telling the truth," he said privately. They destroyed Germany to hand Europe to Russia, and they will never admit it. Patton planned to return to the United States. He intended to speak publicly. He planned to warn Americans about the expansion of Soviet power, about the failures of Allied policy, about the war that never truly ended. "When I get home, I'm going to speak," he told a friend. "I will tell them what is happening here." He never did. On December 9, 1945, his car was involved in a low-speed accident near Mannheim. Everyone walked away unharmed except Patton. He was the only one paralyzed, the only one who did not recover. 12 days later, he was dead. Officially, it was an accident. Unofficially, history still wonders. No evidence, no proof, only an uncomfortable coincidence. A man who openly challenged power, who planned to expose truth, suddenly silenced before speaking a single public word. When Patton said Germany should have one, he was not praising a regime or defending crimes. He was speaking of balance. He was warning about consequences. He understood that destroying one enemy does not guarantee peace if a more dangerous one is left standing. History soon proved him right. Europe would be divided for decades. Walls would rise. Nations would vanish. Families would be split. Freedom would become a privilege instead of a right for millions. The Cold War would shape an entire generation. Patton had seen it coming. While others celebrated peace, he warned of war. While others declared victory, he predicted collapse. He did not fear death. He feared blindness. Today, his words no longer seem insane. They seem prophetic. The world finally learned what he tried to say in 1945. The most dangerous enemy is not the one you fight, but the one you ignore. Thank you for watching The Secret Chapter YT. If you want to dive deeper into the untold stories of the past, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell.